Welcome to Kevin Richards VIPs. This week's guest is an amazing woman who exudes love and compassion. She's not just yoga, she's Anne Green. I get to sit here with my amazing guest today who is absolutely awe-inspiring and has this incredible, beautiful soul and loves to just do things for this community. I've been looking forward to this interview for a while. And thank you for finally taking the time out of your crazy busy schedule. You are swamped. You are always handling everything so well, but so busy. How are you doing this? How are you doing so much in just, sitting here managing to make the time right now?
That's a really good question. It's about understanding that balance happens every day, right? You face things, and I'm a good surfer.
There you go.
I surf.
Cool. So one of the things that I think is amazing about you is you have this incredible, you never have ego, but you have this incredible ability to exude this confidence without being obnoxious, right? And I think that that is one of the things that makes you so truly authentic. Very few people get to be authentic. And some people are threatened by somebody who's so authentic and in touch with themselves. And I think it's awesome that you are. And you're mesmerizing that way. So all of this wonderful yoga stuff, we're going to unpack that later. What I want to do just to start is I want to get to know you.
Okay.
Where are you from?
I'm born in Toronto, but my hometown is North Bay, Ontario.
North Bayer.
Yeah, North
Cool.
Bayite.
Yeah.
And, surrounded by Great Lakes and edges of mountains and huge forests. Nature is definitely my playground. My playground was always nature. It still is. And I grew up with very hardworking parents, not having a lot. And I know the value of ethic and going after what you want. And I think more importantly, the lessons growing up from where I was is hardship. Like everyone's kind of, right now we're going through quite a weather system. That's normal for where I grew up. And you just deal with what is. Like that's resiliency, understanding what is and see the treasure and the gratitude in the moment and go forward with that. So
That is, and that's not a yoga standpoint, that's a you standpoint. That's something that's ingrained in you from where you come from. And I think that it helps, it's a benefit obviously to what you've chosen as a career because it allows you to be open and honest and take in those things around the universe and around the world that make yoga, right? But you have this glow, right? You have this thing that is natural because you've grown up with it, right? You've sort of become authentic because it's where you come from.
I don't know how to act anything differently than who I am.
Love it.
It's not an act, it's just me. I'm just
love that.
a girl who found something that finally expressed what I have inside. So yoga was a pathway to what was already happening with my personal liberation, my freedom, and how I live my life. And it just was this awesome channel of love. And I grew up with so much love and so much understanding and hardship too.
And appreciation.
And total appreciation and bringing my best, never comparing. No one can be me and I can't be anyone else. So I can only be my best version of myself. And that was instilled
That's a good message.
through my parents. And so I think also the sense of being a Northerner, like my true Northness, my alignment to being a Northerner is really supportive. There's some pretty big storms that work through when you're a Northerner, and there's beauty right before and beauty afterwards as well.
So it's kind of natural for you to not make sure you've got more in your cup than everybody else, but to make sure everybody else has enough, right? It's kind of like that for you, that you want to make sure everybody's benefiting from a glow, right?
Yeah, you take care of people, right? That's what this world is about. We're supposed to love each other and take care of each other, and there's never an empty glass. Every single glass isn't even half full, and it's never half empty. They're always full. It's got air, and it's got potential, and it's got molecules. That's fullness.
Yeah, as an engineer once told me, the glass is twice as big as it needs to be.
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
So when you were up north, something inspired you to come down south a little bit, or to make it to Barrie. What was it that inspired you, as opposed to just Barrie? What inspired you to get into yoga? Where was your first aha moment that said, "This is my thing"?
Well, a really unique story is I was introduced to it by the public librarian because I was a gymnast.
Really?
Yeah, and my sister's after-school job as a high school student was at the public library, and of course she is, responsible for getting me home safe after my gymnastics practice at the Y. And the Y and the public library weren't too far from each other for where we were, and so I was able to walk there, or my sister would pick me up afterwards. So whenever I'd go there, a voracious reader, I still am. I have like hundreds of books on the go all the time.
Nice.
Just love it. And so I'd go there, and the librarian just kind of picked up on, oh, this little gymnast really likes movement, but she's really interested in books and intelligent and wants to take things on. So she started giving me books on yoga, and that was it. I went home with these books with men in loincloths, and my mom and dad were a little bit worried, but it turned out that there is finally a way to express that sense of putting no harm first.
Yeah.
Like that's the first thing, right? No harming. And I admit, that of course we all make, I'm not going to even say that we make mistakes. I think we create learning lessons where we teach ourselves how to do better.
Yeah.
And how to be a better self. So we can be a better partner, a better human, a better mother, a better sister, a better daughter, a better aunt, a better whatever, a better human being, and we're just being in that. And so I don't think we make mistakes. I think we create learning lessons.
Yeah.
And
it's important we take them as experiences and not as, oh my gosh, that's the end of that, and how it's such a big terrible mistake. People go bankrupt, people lose family, they do all kinds of things, and somehow
if you don't experience forgiveness, though, it's really hard to see that, right? So, and it's also exactly what physics is all about, and energy is all about, and this quantum theory of understanding that whatever you keep putting attention to, you'll just grow attention on that.
Yeah.
So even attending to where your attention is so important, and that's definitely something that I grew up with, being discerning, questioning, kindly, and still loving all of what could be a possibility.
And nurturing what you can.
Making a choice what's happiest and non-harming for yourself and for others. So I kind of grew up in a home where it was bigger than the golden rule. It was more like it's do no harm and not at all unless it's good for all, right? Mm-hmm. So there's some really poignant lessons in all of that about how I held myself as an up-and-coming elite athlete, and what I made as promises to my parents, and I still uphold, and that's nobody else's business but ours. We made those contracts as our family, and I uphold them. My father's now passed, and I'm so glad I made those contracts.
Sure.
Verbal and contracts of the heart about being
Spiritual
true to who I am.
contract. Mm-hmm.
Sacred contracts.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So what was it as an elite athlete you were pursuing? Gymnastics?
Gymnastics was my first love, and then as a high school athlete, I was so engaged and so enriched with the great phys ed team that we had at my high school, and they exposed me to everything. I mean, I played football and soccer, and I played basketball, volleyball, gymnastics, cross country, but track and field is where I ended up eventually shining the most, and I loved the most. It was passionate for me to be a part of that. But I was also part and hand of being a part of the first Ultimate Women's League in all of the world, which is really cool. So, I've represented my country on a couple of different elements, playing Ontario volleyball, definitely playing and participating, as a gymnast at the elite and national level, and then also as well with track and field and ultimate. So many things, but track and field did go a little further, which again was just my chance to show myself how I can shine. That's it. Wasn't for anyone else.
So you were able to embrace that physical, mental, spiritual, and roll it into a ball, because being an extreme athlete and being able to be that dedicated to sport, you have to be able to wrap your head around you're not always going to win.
Yeah.
Those losses, right? and suffering through those losses, but also learning from them, right?
Yeah.
And those wins where you take them, but you don't let ego get ahead of you, and sometimes, and I know my family will always tell everybody that I'm good at playing games, but I'm lousy as a winner, because I do tend to do that victory dance, and sometimes that can be the worst.
I can't see you doing that at all.
No, not at all. So, but being competitive is good, but sometimes, but where I was going with that was you have this ability to not let it get to you or get to everybody around.
Well, it's only that moment, right? it's not my whole life, and things I've done there a lifetime ago. What I'm doing right now is the most important, and again, that's about non-harming. If you keep living in the past, you're only harming yourself. So I'm whatever people want to think I am, but that's none of my business.
Well,
right?
people bugging you inside your head, you're letting them live rent-free in your head, right?
Yeah.
And that's not cool.
No, it's not cool.
So where is that point where you said, yoga's it? Do you go to school for yoga? Do you study? Like, what is the yoga experience for you?
For me, it was really different because at that point when I was falling in love with it and discovering that it was not separate of me at all, and there's no yoga Anne and Anne. I'm just Anne. And part of the expression of that is me, enjoying what helps me to express who I am, which is yoga. So
that's really cool that there is just that one thing, and some people don't embrace that. There is always work person, and then there's home person. But for you to be able to be yoga and
there's still boundaries of. I think it's really healthy to have boundaries. So. And that's hard too. It's really hard to do yoga as a business. You have to even be a stronger business person to uphold those values, because people tend to want to kind of blur those edges quite a bit and ask for more and expect more and give less. Yeah. When I'm the one putting out the work, and they want to, I'll say for lack of a better word right now, take.
There are takers.
There's a lot of takers.
There really are.
And they're in need, and so they need a lesson, and we need to make sure that our hearts are truthful and supportive of love. But we also have to expect and realize that it's not our place to make change in anyone. The only person that can make change is yourself. It has to come from yourself.
Yeah, I don't tend to like to tag people, but there is a certain thing that I can tell is if somebody's true, if they're authentic. And people who are authentic nowadays are, unfortunately, they're becoming somewhat extinct. But there are those who truly authentic people try to help people around them continue to be authentic and grow. And you do that, you nurture well.
Thanks,
right?
That's nice.
But it's known, right? And it's obvious. There's a glow, right? And so you can't always have that glow. Before I get into unpacking, how did And Green Yoga start, I want to ask you, how do you handle those moments then, work or personal? What is it that makes you strongest at, pushing through things?
I don't push through things. I discern, and I have a mindset of, it's honest, it's really actually a simple answer. Okay. It's, I love myself deeply. And if I don't love myself, I can't be of service as a compassionate human being to others. So I remind myself of taking care, of self-care and self-love. That's really important. And that's how I'm able to help other people around me. I take time in nature. That's absolutely
that's
a given, right? Like that's my nature is everybody's nature is nature. But
we all should be more nature. This is our planet.
Yeah, like there's just no doubt. So that's my reset button, and that's a daily dedicated ritual. So my life is set up in ritual. I value my values. My values are strongly set in being a person that exemplifies loving and caring. But I'm also really smart at, or I set smart boundaries. I make sure, people understand that's not okay. You're not invited to be in my life when you're disrespectful or a liar. You're not invited to be in my life when you steal. Now, there may be very good reasons for all those things happening, and those are all personal opportunities then for healing and conversation and growth.
Yeah.
However, if continued behavior is going to be harmful to others and to myself, then unfortunately that's where my door on my boundary stays closed.
Well, sometimes you have to dissect that out of your life. You just have to. You have to find a way to extract that, because it's affecting your soul. It's affecting your life.
Well, it's not going to, anything that will change who I am and change my shine, that's not going to be service to anybody,
I
right?
love that
But
you use that
most
word about
especially-
you, shine, because that's so true.
Well, it kind of is an acronym. So here, when everyone comes to the studio, when we talk about shine, because I call myself a shinologist, and that's with purpose, right? That's
See, I
what
thought the guys at the airport doing shoes, those were shinologists. No, it's you.
it's me. So it's about serving health and happiness in neighborhoods everywhere. So that's really what it's about when you just kind of look at it from an outside kind of view. But if you dive deeper into the real core of what that is, it's much more about serving and sharing health and happiness that integrates, innovates, and intellectualizes as well as inspires, so that you can elevate people, you can educate people, and you can be a person of service. Like, that's all I know. That's all I know. That's all I grew up with.
Well, there's a certain, it's like they say in an airplane, you have to take your oxygen yourself before you can give it to others to benefit, to help them.
Yep.
You have to get it to you first.
Yeah.
If you start feeding everybody else first, you're not going to make it, right?
Yeah.
You can't go counting on everybody else to make you better,
Yeah.
right? So
You have
good
to
for
take
you
care
for
of
that.
yourself.
Yeah. So let's go back then to the Anne Green Yoga.
Okay.
All right. Where was the first location? Where was your first spark? And how did that all happen too? Because I know your husband was supportive of all that too, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I've been teaching yoga for a really long time, as I said earlier, like before you even had to be certified.
Okay.
So I've been teaching yoga as part of the coaching programs I was involved with through track and field, probably from about 14 and 15. Like, as soon as I found
Wow.
yoga, it was just what I did for mobility, what I did for part of my warm-ups for before any sporting event. It just was second nature to me. It's how it calmed me down, how it focused me, how it reset me.
So
And
before it was really popular, you were doing it.
oh yeah, I looked at like a freak all the time.
Well,
Middle of
you
the
look
track.
back into it, and it's
Yeah.
kind of like Tai Chi. People were like, "What's yoga? I'm not doing that. It's
Yeah.
weird. It's
Yeah, but I just did it for myself, didn't pay attention to anyone
Cool.
else, and did my own thing. And actually, I've run into a few track people going like, "Wow, man, you're ahead of your time," and I'm like, I was just doing my things.
And you liked it.
I loved it.
You did something you
I
loved.
still love it. Yeah, it's just about love, right?
Awesome.
I wish I could do more of it all the time, but
There's only so much, Anne.
there's
right?
only so much time and space.
Yeah. So first studio starts where?
I taught a lot, so I didn't have my own studio till I moved into the Barrie area.
What inspired you to come to Barrie?
As a stepway towards the north, but
Okay.
not too far from the city.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a
Cool.
few reasons I had to stay in the city for a little while.
Okay.
Some health concerns that I had to be near Princess Margaret and Mount Sinai for some time.
Okay.
And when we finally got the clear that I was okay, I didn't need to be near those places on a daily basis, we were able to build a home in and around the Barrie area. And that, I guess, was about almost 16 years ago.
Wow.
And-
so then the studio happens how?
The studio happened because I was helping out with lots of different athletes in the city here. And I wanted to be able to do something, so I was a brand new mom. And it was hard to keep going down to Toronto and doing all my privates and working at the different studios that were there for me.
Yeah.
And also that still, again, that wasn't popular to be, going back and forth and teaching at different places. So I have always felt whenever I did education to better myself, I always had to go away from home. And I don't think that's where the heart is. Like, heart is at the home. So if this yoga thing is all about love and education and elevating that education, because I first believe I'm an educator, then it had to come home. So it had to be here. So that meant I had to build a space that would house that opportunity for people to come and learn.
Well, I know when I first met you years and years ago, your location that I first knew you at was on Dunlop Street, but across the street from here, over above where the
Yeah.
old Music Pro used to be.
Yeah.
And Music Pro when they were downtown, boy, that's a long time ago too. So you had the studio across the street. How did that happen?
That happened out of not being able to be in another little space, and I needed growth. So when I first opened up my very own first studio in the city, I just left a space out of one of the sports rehab places.
Oh.
And then needed to, because there's no room for growth there anymore, I needed to move into my own. So I was just off a little place on Welham. And it was like one room and one loft, and it was a little bit a little bit small for this non-slowness that was happening around me. And So I thought, okay, let's go find a better space. And actually, before I came downtown and went into that building, I used to, in the brewery right beside us, I'm the original yoga and beer girl.
That's great.
Yeah,
That's
super
really
fun.
cool.
It was when it was Robert Simpson Brewery.
Yeah.
And so we used the event room and had some pretty cool things.
They had a
in there.
beautiful event room.
Yeah, they still do. It's
Oh,
gorgeous.
is it still there?
Yeah, I think it is.
My Rotary
yeah.
Club had a few meetings
Think
there
it
when I was in
is.
Rotary. What a cool spot.
Yeah, it's great.
Nice.
Peter's an amazing guy, and
Yeah. Peter's
so, yeah.
fantastic, yeah.
Yeah, super guy. And we knew each other from track, actually, Peter and I.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's
So
fun.
you then go from there.
Yep.
This opportunity of this building comes available.
Yep,
All right.
crazy. Yeah,
This is a big building,
it's huge.
and it
Yeah.
comes with a lot of work and a lot of people.
Yeah,
So you're no longer just managing yourself and maybe managing one or two people. Now you're somewhat micromanaging a team and subcontracted people.
Yeah.
And with that can come unfortunate conflict or confrontation at certain times too, which is natural in any
Yeah.
business. So you probably have this incredible ability to, delegate and make things work and happen. But what's it like for you on a daily basis in here? You must have a ton of responsibility.
yeah, I do. I definitely am very aware of the human condition of forgiveness and growth on a daily basis.
Yeah.
I do everything I can so that as people come here, they're able to shed whatever it is that they're dealing with on the outside, hang it up. If they need to get back to it, they can, because we need to at times. But that people can come in here and have an experience that's theirs and caring, and the teachers are creating an amazing experience for them.
Yeah.
And all we need to do is keep them safe. So this whole building, people come in and they say, like, this vibrates of just as such, it's so homey. And well, because it's vibrating with love. Like, people want to be here. They want to be being their best self, spreading that sense of kindness and that word and that opportunity of potentially, if I can be this, you can be this.
Yeah.
That kind
And
of
I've done yoga in your building here with several different instructors. In fact, the last time I did yoga was here. And there was this wonderful tiny little gentleman that was teaching a class in a hot yoga class. And it was amazing because he was so, and I know loving is kind of the word that everybody throws, but he had almost an adoration for everybody who showed up at the class, and an appreciation, and he allowed adjustments. And there are some yoga places where you're not allowed to adjust anything, and this is how you do it. And modifications and stuff allow people who not necessarily can't do it, but don't get pushed away from wanting to do it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think that there has to be that openness where people are allowing you to do the best that you can.
Yes, well, I think one of the ways of looking at that is pure science and alchemy, actually, so mixtures, right? We're all our own mixture. We're all our own kind of shape changer. We all have our own proportions. We all have our own compressions and tensions.
Yep.
Life puts more of those or less of those on us as we
Yep.
grow in age, experience as well. So the actual practice of yoga is one limb or one part of it is asana. And there's 7 other parts of it that make up yoga. And unfortunately or fortunately, people really focus on the practice as the physical practice being the asana. When you look at it that way, yes, the shape is the shape, and we're to make our bodies look like the shape. Well, we need some help with that sometimes. So we're
be
still
a
not
strap or could be
taking
a
away
block.
from, we're not taking away from the shape. It's just our alchemical makeup, the alchemy of putting things together. For us that day, at that time, at that experience, that's what it needs to look like. And it's a forgiveness. It's meeting you where you're at. And that's happy yoga. And
I
we
like
try to
that.
practice happy yoga here.
Again, that's the bliss aspect of it, right?
Absolutely, ananda,
Yeah,
bliss.
so-
That's what it means.
When you're not here, all right. I know that you love it. Those
Good question.
17 minutes a day, right? So when you're not here and you're trying to walk or embrace nature or do things outside, there are other things you're doing too. Like, are you working on books? Are you working on things? So there's some other things. So tell me about those for sort of a Cole's Notes version, pardon the joke. You're going to tell me a little bit about what's going on with that.
Okay, there's lots going on, yeah.
Awesome, tell me.
I'm like this far away from finishing my book, which is really cool. My first book, and there's already 2 and a third kind of on the way, but the first one is super, super close. And it's actually putting out in the world as book 2. Book 1's already ready, but I can't let it out until the first one to be out is out, so that's kind of cool.
It's very Star Wars.
Yeah.
4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3.
Super influenced by that. I'm a 70s girl, come on.
There we go.
And no, so that's really exciting, and I will be putting some videos out and a different kind of, almost like a digital lab that will happen to be where people can come and find things that will support them in their learning and their growth for this physical practice.
Nice. I love that you're sharing your message.
Thanks. And then there's some possible travel. There's quite a few places in the world that are beginning to request me to share some of my insight, and that's cool. There's lots of conferences and workshops that I attend.
Yeah. You've taken a few trips on a few places to do some workshops
really
as well.
lucky to do that. Yeah, really lucky.
Costa
to do
Rica's
that.
a hot spot.
Yeah, it is hot there.
Yeah, pardon the pun. So what would be your, I don't want to seem hokey and say what is your message, because that's kind of obvious, but what would you say is your best thing that you want people to know either about you or, just to embrace life?
To shine. Like, don't be afraid of how great you are, and also know, like, we're super small. We're super small. We're so small in light of everything that actually is here. We are a blip on the timeline of the universe. So, like, ride that awesome, amazing surf as best person as you can be. Like, it doesn't matter what you have. It doesn't matter it can matter what you give, but not unless it's for the right reasons. Like, your integrity is all you're left with. Your integrity is all you have, and be happy with that and help others. Lend support. And if you allow another person to shine, this is really my message. By letting another person shine, it absolutely gives you your own power to be who you are.
Kind of like that exchange of a candle to a candle to a candle.
Oh yeah, right? Like, just light it up. Like, that's exactly what you're supposed to. You're supposed to help others. You're supposed to allow them to be their best self or find their best self.
Yeah.
And it's not a trend. That's my biggest beef.
Yeah.
Yoga is not a trend, and it's being taught too much as a trend.
Yeah.
With too many people that are becoming completely encapsulated in sensation of ownership that's different than simply personal freedom and liberation.
Yeah.
Yoga is totally about authentic living, whether you're on a yoga mat or not. And how you do that is by helping others be their best self.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really great message.
Thanks.
So then what's going on for you in the community? You seem pretty involved in this community.
Yeah, I try to be. I keep involved in many different ways in the community. So I grew up with a father that actually created the food bank, the whole concept of the food bank in the world. And so all I'm used to doing is seeing that, understanding that, and serving. So as many ways as possible, and I hope that it's much more that without me even being known to be a part of the help, which is good, because I've had some people tell me I maybe need to volunteer more time.
Yeah, because you're not doing anything.
Because I'm not
you have all
doing
this
anything.
free time.
So what I definitely do is I like that people don't know that I'm behind helping something, and I just try to engage others to find a way to give what they're able of doing. So there's a lot of things upcoming right in the very core here of Barrie downtown and Barrie at large. Just prior to this interview, I know what I want to say. I want people to go to beadonor.ca.
Tell me about that.
Well, what that is going beyond signing your card for organ donation as a viable driver and legal driver. You go beyond that and you go to beadonor.ca and you sign up there. There's over 1,500 people a day in Ontario that are in need of organ donation, and that's not going anywhere but up. And one being could support up to 75 human beings with the support of their organ donation and tissue donation. So, I was just at a flag raising right before this, and is inspired by lots of things. That's been a huge part of my own process and a part of my immediate family's process as well. And
Well, you're coming from an amazing family, and you're doing some things for the community,
Yeah.
and I'm really proud of you. I've loved watching you grow in town,
Thanks.
and it has been an absolute honor to sit here and talk to you and for you to take the time to meet with me today.
thank you, Ken.
Thanks, Ann.
Thanks.